Hi, this is Robin. I'm back for video 2 of the setup for the plate reader testing. Excuse me here, just go back to our folder. If you recall, we created an LPR testing folder, and in there we had an LPR mobile. LPR mobile, we can see, is the jar file and the LPR run batch file. So when I double click this batch file, it opened this window, and this window says that it's running in debug mode, and it started a server listening on all addresses for port 32,000. If I go back to LPR testing, there's an LPR testing folder. I go into that one and run this batch file. It starts up the LPR test client. The LPR test client, as I mentioned before, allows me to send what appears to be camera records to the plate reader system. So essentially what we have here is we have our system set up such that our local machine, and again if I go to the command typed in ipconfig, we can see that our local machine is 1.101. So by putting 1.101, I am asking the LPR test client to send camera records to the process that's pretending to be a plate reader computer, and the plate reader computer should pass that information onto the tablet. Now similarly, the tablet itself should have or be pointed to the plate reader computer because it's where it is going to connect so that everything can communicate with each other. So in this case, if we go into our plate reader, let me just minimize this window here, we can see that it's currently by default set to 8.1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to my local IP, 1.101, and OK. So this is on the tablet. So we can see that it's 1.101. The port is by default 32,000. We're going to leave that the same. Now if we back out and we go to LPR scanning, this window here represents the plate reader computer. So we'll go ahead and go LPR scanning. Now you will receive, notice here that there's an IO exception, cannot run the program MMCLI. We just have to keep in mind that right now we're running this on a Windows environment. The MMCLI is a modem query tool, so it's actually querying the 3G modem. We don't have a 3G modem. We're not running on Linux, and MMCLI is actually a Linux application. So really what this boils down to is you can just ignore this exception. It will pop up at the beginning, and it's only because it's not able to find this program that would query the modem to understand sort of what kind of signal strength we have, as an example. So if we go back to our test tool, here we can see again, we're able to pick out records. So if I wanted to, let's say as an example, if you try to send the first one, it may fail unless you have the settings in the system settings of the Android app to receive data that's less than, whatever, or greater than 30 confidence level. So when you try to send this one, if it doesn't work, don't be surprised. Generally what I'll do is I'll grab one of the good records. So let's grab a good record, and again we've updated the IP for our local computer, and when we say send the test, we can see that the information went through the proxy. So basically the plate reader computer, which then sent it to the handheld, and we can see here on the handheld we actually have the record showing the results of what was read. So if we wanted to, what we can actually do is we can select a number of records. So say we want to select 5 or 6 records, and this is my microseconds, so basically, or milliseconds rather. So this is 1,000 milliseconds is a second. So now what's going to happen is when I say go ahead and send, this is going to take 5 seconds to send all of these records. So I say go ahead and send it, and you'll notice here on this window we'll actually watch as those records are being passed through, and we should then see them on the tablet interface. So let's go ahead and do that. See the records are appearing. And so what this allows us to do then is it allows us to test. So as an example, the first record I sent, if I try to send it again, see that it does get through. But if I try to send it again, it should be ignored. Now if I wanted to, say, send through something that was a bad record, so say as an example, we have some records here. This was a miss, so let's send it through. It would allow us to test. So you can see that BCW, take a look at it, we can see that it's, that's the record BCWR791, but it was a miss and it came up as KVR791. So what we could do is we can say that we want to search and update. You can see that it's possible for us to test a lot of the functionality that we wouldn't normally be able to test right on our own desktop computer. We have the plate reader, or a process that's pretending to be a plate reader computer, and then we have the test tool, which is sending test data, and of course we have the handheld, which is connecting to the plate reader and is actually working as though we had cameras on our roof. Anyway, thanks for watching.